Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. I know Las Vegas being Las Vegas, a lot of interesting things to do. Appreciate you spending the time with us for the next hour. This turned out to be better than my birthday party. A lot of people showed up. So this is going to be a fun exercise. All of you saw the introduction of QuickSight this morning by Andy. In case you're looking for Redshift or other things, this is not the right session. This is QuickSight. So look forward to telling you and sharing with you what we heard from our customers and how we do it. Let me go ahead and get started. In this session, what you will hear from us is overall big data and analytics strategy for AWS. We've been building out a portfolio of products that we will show you very quickly why we built them, and challenges our customers face in this particular space, big data analytics in particular. What key innovations have we done in order to help facilitate this? And finally, what's next? Those are the key major areas that we'll cover. We are blessed and fortunate to have the company of these elite set of customers. Many thousands of them use Amazon for big data and analytics. Some of you have heard and seen from Netflix and Amazon's own experience, but what may not be clear to you is behind every one of these icons, there is like a large array of customers in every vertical, every industry, every size, every shape that's using us for big data analytics. And you might wonder why. Why is that the case? Why are people flocking to the cloud, particularly for big data analysis? It's actually a very simple process. We always say this inside the company, and it's true in every step we take. We start with the customer, you all, and work backwards. We write a clear document that says, from a press release point of view, what would the experience look like, and a detailed FAQ. Before we write a line of code, before we do a design, we do that. And we don't focus on little things. Incremental improvements are interesting, but that don't excite us. So we take on big challenges our customers have, and we invent on behalf of our customers. Some of these tough problems require us to rethink the software. Some of them require us to rethink the hardware, and so on and so forth. Here are some examples of what we heard from customers and how we simplified the experience. Customers told us that managing databases is painful and difficult. We saw that in our own experience. We knew back in 2005, 2006, SQL databases do not perform well at scale. We recognized that from an Amazon experience. We wrote the original Dynamo paper that set in motion the NoSQL movement, which we codified and offered it as a DynamoDB service. More recently, data warehouse, we heard from consistently from many customers, data warehouses are dark, dusty, and dirty places that they don't like to deal with. And we launched Redshift. And following that, customers told us, we love the Redshift experience, but the commercial databases that we are dealing with, and you saw in Andy's keynote, we are being held hostage to our data because we used a particular database. In response, we have been creating a number of products. You have seen some of them. I was part of the RDS team. Amazon RDS is today used by many thousands of companies, powering a lot of creative internet applications. Amazon Redshift has been the fastest growing service, more recently overtaken by Amazon Aurora. And Kinesis as a platform is setting the new agenda for streaming databases or streaming data. Following the trend, we built this portfolio of products our customers can use for collecting data, using our direct connect to move data, import, export, and more recently you saw the Snowball appliance, Kinesis for streaming data perspective. And we have provided fantastic databases, fully managed databases like Aurora, RDS, and Redshift for storing the data. And a lot of our customers use EMR, EC2, as well as machine learning technologies that we launched for analysis. What in this particular reinvent we are launching is the Elasticsearch, which we launched last week, and Kinesis team is launching Firehose. I would encourage you to go and see the migration, database migration session, which is pretty compelling for those of you who are wanting to move from commercial databases to open databases. We also are launching a new service, SQL over Streams, which is available in the Kinesis track. In this particular session, we're going to focus a lot more on QuickSight. So what are the big challenges? So we built these products, and what do customers have as a problem? Our customers don't have the problem of data. They have lots of data. They don't have a problem of questions. In fact, they have lots of them. They have very interesting questions. How is my marketing campaign performing? Who are my top customers and how are they growing? How's my inventory? What should I hold? What should I give up? What's missing is fewer insights. Customers are not able to make meaningful decisions in a timely fashion without going through a lot of hassles. What are those hassles? We asked ourselves and asked our customers. 3 things came about very, very clear and compelling, and we'll show you how we are solving that with QuickSight. First and foremost, from the color you can see, it costs too much. So customers are telling us that literally they'll have to pay anywhere from $150 to $250 to $300 per user per month. That's a huge barrier for a lot of companies that want to deploy BI to the front lines of the organization. It also takes too long. A lot of these BI projects typically start with a really nice demo and they get started, but then it becomes a large IT project and it takes way too long. This is a recurring theme over and over from our customers. So that's the first 2 steps of the process, but what you would see is our customers then run into the third leg of the problem, which is performance at scale. First, it's slow. As data and usage grows, it gets slower. And when the new use cases come about, particularly around streaming data sets, NoSQL data sets, or big data, they simply hit a brick wall. This is the shackle that our customers are struggling with, and they would like us to help them free from this particular difficulty. So effectively, they're asking us to give them or achieve freedom to get the real value out of the data they have. That's why we launched QuickSight today. What is QuickSight? In short, QuickSight is a very fast cloud-powered BI service that's available for you at 1/10 the cost of walled garden solutions. Here's the price. It's about $9 per user per month. We'll go more into the pricing details a little later, but that's the starting point. The first analysis, once you sign up, our expectation and design goal is that you should be able to get your analysis in about 60 seconds. Much like the way you're a Kindle reader, you download a book, you are able to start reading in about 60 seconds. We think you ought to get to your first report in 60 seconds. You can sign up for preview at quicksight.aws.amazon.com, and the preview handout will happen in a couple of weeks. So here's the overall sort of the meta architecture of the product. As a business user or as a technical user, you could come into the product, pick your favorite tablet, iOS or Android, or use your browser, and connect through the UI to our core engine. The engine consists of 5 key components. There is a data connector that's built into the product that automatically discovers and connects to all the AWS data sources, as well as some applications. You can upload your file. You can go after files that are sitting in S3, so we'll go into more details on that. We will detect all the DynamoDB tables, RDS databases, Redshift clusters, and so on. As a user, you don't really have to worry about which data source do I have access to. We go look through the data sets and build your data catalog. From that point, once you select a data source, you can go ahead and start visualizing it immediately, or you can use our data prep facility. Data prep is a simple facility where you can say subsets of the data is what I'm interested in. If you have 15 years of history and you have a lot of nulls and you have some duplicate data, you can write simple filters that will reduce the scope down to maybe 6 months or a year, as well as do those transformations. We'll keep track of those transformations and we will apply them on an ongoing basis when you decide to do incremental data refresh. Once that is done, again, this particular step is not needed. You can directly go visualize the data if the data is clear to you, but you can do the data prep if you choose to. Then you start interacting with the data, and the Spice engine gets involved as it pulls in the data. It responds to all your queries really fast. We'll go into more details on exactly how that does. One of the cool things that we have learned and we wanted to do is this idea of suggestions. Initially, it will detect all the different data relationships, and tell you what attribute and measure might go together. So it might be product sales by time, product sales by region, and so on and so forth. But as you and your team members continue to analyze use the product for analysis, it learns and it improves. Every step along the way, the suggestions will get better and better, and over time, we think we'll be able to bring insights to you without you having to take some massive action. Not only did we build all of this, we also worked with our partners. We are working with Tableau, Jaspersoft, Qlik, and Domo, who are all working with us to integrate with the Spice engine. So if you are a company that has deployed any one of these BI products, you could work with and make Spice available to your end users. So what are the key innovations that we have done? So fundamentally, there are 5 key innovations, and then I'll go into a demo to describe each one of them. To allow you to explore AWS data, we have put in technology to auto-discover the different data sources, determine the data types, understand the cardinality, and bring about the right set of combinations of visualizations that make sense. We also have Spice, which is a brand new technology that we have built from the ground up. We'll go more into that. As business users, what we saw from our usability studies is a lot of times business users don't know what visualization to do. They have to now hire a BI analyst in order to make reports. So what we have done is to give you intuitive visualizations that can change as you add data elements to it. For example, you might be looking at a bar chart and you add time to it, then it might be more appropriate to show you a time series data. So we'll see that. Native mobile experience is included. There is no extra charge. You can use your tablet, iOS or Android, both will be available. And finally, we think analysis works the best when you actually share it and collaborate with your company. So we enable sharing and collaboration within the company as well as outside the company to your suppliers and so on. These are key innovations. So the question might be in your case, how do I spice up my data? Very quickly, once you log in, point to the data source, Spice get involved, and you'll get your graph. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. So really 1, 2, 3 steps that is very seamless, fluid, that you can get going immediately. Here are the data sources that we would support. So we support all the RDS engines, MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, as well as Redshift and Aurora. Plus, once the MariaDB drivers, we are able to test it, we'll add MariaDB to the list. We'll also support NoSQL databases to begin with DynamoDB, and we'll add more based on preview feedback. We support EMR in both Hive format, as well as if you put data in S3, we'll be able to ingest that data as well. On the file side, we'll be able to read CSV, Excel, CLF, tab delimited files, and extra log formats. So really, if you have web server log files, you will be able to upload and start visualizing immediately. We also plan to support streaming data sources. Kinesis, both Kinesis streams and DynamoDB streams will be available for the product. So we talked about Spice. What makes up Spice? Spice is really built from the ground up to be a cloud-powered, in-memory columnar engine. It has compression built in. Spice stands for super fast, parallel, in-memory optimized calculation engine. We were sort of thinking about how to name it, and Swami, who works with me, he said, well, it's super fast, parallel, in-memory calculation engine, and Andy, that's Spice. And we said, okay, that sounds good. So that's kind of how it came about. So it's 2 to 4x compression on columnar data, and we do a lot of software optimization underneath it. For every query, we compile the query. We do machine code generation so that we can take advantage of parallel clock execution. We also plan to support fairly rich calculations. So data that's not in the source data that's brought into Spice, we can support you with aggregates, subtotals, 2-pass calculations, and things like that. You will expect out of all of this technology very fast response time for your queries. Typically, we expect users to be able to interact with it with speed of thought response time. Last but not least, it's a completely managed experience. Literally, it's transparent to you, it scales, and it performs as you increase the usage because it's a fully managed experience. You're not provisioning software, you're not provisioning hardware, you're not updating anything, it just manages itself. Here's a quick touch on autograph, as we call it internally. So in the first shot, you see that there is a bar graph, and it will become clearer as I go through the demo. As you add additional attributes, it will automatically change to a time series graph. This is technology. It took a while for us to get it right, and we still are in iterative phases. In preview, we'll learn a lot more as to how to make this work very well. And the idea behind this is business users should just continue doing the analysis. Don't have to worry about what's the right graph type. We want to take that puzzle out of the equation. You can also, let's see, native mobile experience, I talked about it. iOS and Android both are supported, very touch-centric. We designed the entire UI to be very touch-centric. Here's the other important part. We wanted to kind of highlight that you can tell a story with your data. So if you get asked, for example, hey, why is my fast-growing region not growing? You might look at the total sales. You might drill down into specific counties. You might look at promotions. You might look at product mix. Every step along the way, you can capture that as a snapshot, share it with your boss or your board of directors or your employees, and tell them, walk them through the data perspectives that you have and have them add to it. And that way, your analysis is not what's in the database, it's also in the collective IQ of your organization. So let me go ahead and do a demo. This is where the adventure begins. Hopefully everything will work. And then I go to 3 here. So I'm literally in the browser. I'm on, let's go to F11. OK, good. So here are the analysis that I have done. So to get started, if I wanted to really go after one analysis, I can get started right away here. But in the interest of adventure, let's go ahead and start with a new analysis. So here are the tables that are in a particular Redshift cluster that I've automatically connected to. I'm going to go ahead and pick the retail sales and import the table and visualize. Now you see all the different data fields that are available to me for me to inspect and pick. And you will also see that system has determined maybe I'm interested in profit amount by order ID. So literally, the system went through the cardinality of different data, the type of analysis others have done, and it has built up an array of analysis that might be interesting to me. So I'm going to set aside that for a moment, and I'm going to go ahead and pick how many, how are my order flow. Here's the list of, here's the number of transactions that I would have had by category. Now, when I look at the transaction count, it doesn't tell me the entire business story. So I might be interested in saying, well, maybe I would like to see what the sales amount is. You would notice that the system automatically flips the axis and says, now it's a horizontal bar. You might ask why. Why couldn't you just do it? What we find often is when you have a lot of categories and you put the labels underneath it, it gets very squishy, and then people want to try to optimize that. They move things around. They spend a lot of time trying to manage the axis, not do the analysis. So we are flipping it around, and we can clearly show you the different labels and the data elements that fit very well. In this particular case, given that fitness category has been doing really well, I might want to focus only on that, or I might want to exclude that from my analysis. Let's go ahead and focus only on that part. Now, that's just not an interesting graph, so maybe you want to see this on time. So let's go ahead and look at order date, which is available as a date attribute. Let me go ahead and look at it. You would notice that as I think about these problems, the system is really crunching through millions and millions of rows of data and bringing back responses very quickly. The default aggregation here is by year, but I can go ahead and look at this by month, week, day, hour, and if additional granularity is available, we'll show you that down to a second. Let's go ahead and pick by month. So now, instead of that being a single boring line, you see a trend over time by month. Now what I can do is I can add additional attributes here, or I can literally right from the graph pivot into a different category. So for example, in this case, I might be interested in looking at subcategory. So we are focused on fitness, but what are the different subcategory of products that are making it up? Here are all the different subcategories ranging from exercise bikes to fitness technology to many other things, and you could have a fairly large collection. What we would maybe interested in seeing here is we see a general trend. There is holiday season here, there's holiday season, We did very well between the 2 holiday seasons, but there is a curious and interesting spike here. What is that? So there is a natural curiosity question. So go ahead and let's focus on analysis. And maybe at this time, we are really interested in seeing how we performed on a day-to-day basis. To do that, I might want to further narrow down the date. So I might go here and look at filtering this data and say, well, I'd like to add a date filter. Let's go ahead and pick date filter here. Let me add a date filter and go ahead and see order date. And I might be interested in seeing that only for the period, let's say January through June. So let's pick January 2015 to, let's focus, fine, October 7th. Let's apply that. So that is clearly the spike that we want to focus on. Perhaps we want to focus down to a week level, and if we need additional granularity, we can do that. Again, you would see the response time is really quick. At this point, I might be interested in seeing, well, the subcategory is doing really well. What's the reason behind this spike? So maybe what I want to do is, instead of focusing the data on subcategory, maybe I want to look at by promotion. So look at, did we do any promotions that caused this particular spike? So there it is. There is a new data that's clearly showing this continuous line is sales data when we have no promotion, and here's the data that we have that is specific to Spring Fitness. Spring Fitness is what we were focusing on. There is a particular promotion. We can even drill down and say, well, how did that do by the number of weeks that we ran, specific day level detail. Now you're zooming in from yearly look to across all categories down to day, perhaps down to the hour. You can start to see sales really spiked for a couple of days, and this is a very good story you can tell your boss. And you can say, well, I'd like to capture this as a story and call this as a spring promo sales. Now that particular snapshot that we took, I can take as many of them. For example, maybe I go back to looking at the total value by subcategory. So I should have probably done that before, but I'm going to go ahead and, instead of promotion, I'm going to go ahead and look at subcategory, just to illustrate the point that you can actually create different snapshots. And here I can take that capture again, and here's this scene and say total sales. So now I have 2 different scenarios. Now I could share this completely with my boss and say, here's my promotion, so you can see by specific week, here's how we did. And in case you are interested in what the total sales look like for this particular category, here's how it looked like. So your boss, if he or she had access to the underlying data, they'll be able to interact with it and get additional insights. They'll be able to annotate and give additional value for the overall organization. So we went through quite a bit of steps, and I've gone through, and I'll be happy to answer questions towards the end of the conversation. At this point, I'm going to switch back to my presentation. Let me go ahead and do that. So let's see. So here, what I was showing you here is the touch experience on capturing different data sets and being able to add new visual, and then you can start building a composition of graphs that finally will result in a dashboard. So all along, I was only showing you a complete one at a time, but as you step-by-step build, it will now run into an overall dashboard. You can take the dashboard, parts of it, or the entirety of it, and embed it into specific web pages. So if you're publishing analytics for your suppliers, if you're publishing derived data sets for your consumers, you could create this analysis either as a static analysis or an interactive analysis for your audience. So just to get back a little bit and talk about what do you get out of QuickSight. So it's fast to get started. It's very easy to explore any AWS data, relational, non-relational, streaming, files. We allow you to take a look at all of them, and that's why people love the cloud. I wish I had a t-shirt like that. You get fast insights with Spice. And it's very easy to use and share. Your perspective belongs to everyone, and everyone's IQ belongs to you as well, so you can create a collaborative environment. It's very effortless to scale. So you can start with one user, you can add it to 10, 50. You only pay for who you subscribe, so there is no necessity for you to pre-buy all the licenses. You also can continue to add data. So as you add the data, the system will automatically scale and give you consistent, fast performance. And it's low cost. We talked about the first price point. Let me open up a couple of more details underneath it. The standard edition is available for $9 per user per month. There is also, we work with a lot of enterprise customers. You saw a number of logos. Many of them have very important security policies. So you have Active Directory integration, fine-grained user access control, encryption, and 2 times the throughput. So they can actually get more users getting the same amount of performance. That's $18 per user per month. Now, every user subscription comes with 10 gigabytes of in-memory optimized spice capacity. So we're not talking about magnetic storage. We're not talking about even standard SSD. This is really ultra-fast, high-performance spice capacity that is included. So if you have 100 user deployment, you will get 100 times 10, about 1,000 gigabytes worth of data for you to put in. Now, you could also buy additional spice capacity on a per gigabyte basis. That's about 25 cents per gigabyte month. So it's a really inexpensive way to go after. So that's kind of how we netted it out to what is QuickSight, how do you get value out of it? Well, it is really about having the freedom to go after any data set that you might have and be able to analyze the data and get insights and drive your business forward. So I'm going to leave this thing. Please feel free to complete your evaluation. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and kind of open it up for questions.